Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at usaco-training palindromic squares. In this problem, we're given a number b, which is in base 10, and then we're supposed to print all integers n, such that n squared expressed in base b is palindromic. And we also use letters a, b, and so on to represent base, like in bases 10 to 20, since there is no digit after 9. Okay, so for this case, we're given 10, which means that we're supposed to express the answers in base 10. So for this case, 1 is a valid answer because 1 squared, which is 1, expressed in base 10, is palindromic. And so is 121 because 121 squared expressed in base 10 is also palindromic. Okay, and by the definition of a palindromic is that they read the same forwards and backwards. Okay, so for this problem, we basically print the valid ones from 1 to 300. So in our program, we can have, let's just say, for I equals 1 to 300. So now basically we just need to test I and see if it works. So to test it, we should have a function to find the I expressed in base b. Or actually, we need that too, but we also need I squared expressed in base b. So now we should have a function that that converts a decimal, and then basically you would return, your result would be the decimal in base b form. Okay, so now we're given a decimal. So let's just put on an easier case. So let's just say we have to convert 100, which is in base 10, to a base 2. So as you can see, 100 is equal to 64 plus 32 plus 4. So then the binary, or in base 2, it would be 1100 100. Alright, so of course, we could use a similar method when you're coding for the formula. So right now we have 100, okay? Okay, so basically, if we actually if you could express it okay, so if you were going to express in binary, you would have this, right? So basically you can see for the last bit it would be 0. And so for here we take it mod 2. So here we have mod 2. And since that would be equal to 0, so your last bit would be 0. And then after this process you would divide this by 2. And then again you would take a mod 2. And you would see the last bit is 0. Okay, and then you would divide by 2 again. And this time, this would be 1 because 25 is an odd integer. And then again, you would divide by 2, and you always round down. So again, this mod 2 equals 0. And the next thing you would do is 6 mod 2 equals 0, 3, and then 1. And these mod 2 is equal to 1. So then, when you look at the string, this thing is blocking. Okay, so it's right over here. So look at this. So we actually have 0. Let's just construct this starting from here. So we have 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. Okay, so this is basically the string this is just basically base 100 in base 10 expressed in base 2. So this basically works for just any base, but let's just say if we're doing in base 3, then this thing would be in 3 instead. And then you would also divide by 3 instead of dividing by 2. Okay, so now basically, now all we're left with is just comparing if it's palindromic or not. Okay, so for a number, let's just define palindromic. Let's just say we're given a string. Okay. So basically, we're just comparing the first and last character, and then we're comparing the second and second to last. Okay, so basically, we can loop through for I. Basically, let's just say we're given here, right? So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So here, we're comparing 0 and 6. So basically, if we split the array, so right now we have 7 elements, so we split it in the middle. You just have one index starting from the beginning and one starting in the end. And then you just stop this process when you reach the middle. Okay, so basically, let's just say you have a variable called like I. So I would be equal to 0. And you have a j, which would be equal to 6. Which is basically the size of this string minus 1, since we're using 0 indexing. So every time you just compare this, and then if it's not equal, then you just return false. Otherwise, you just return true at the end of the process. So then every time after this, you just increment I, and then you just decrement. Or, yeah, decrement j. Okay. Okay, so for this, let's include bits. For this problem's name is Pal square. So you just FN. Okay, so we're given a number b, so you can do it in b. So all you do is just read b. Okay. So now, as I said, we should just read for I from 0 to 300. Okay, so let's have this, so we need a convert function, as I said before. So our convert function should return a string, and it should, let's call this convert, and then we're given a decimal number. Okay, so let's call like our answer like result. Originally, it would be equal to 0. I mean, nothing, just a blank string. And now, basically, every time you would just divide it by base, by b. And then every time we do that, we just have to make sure it doesn't reach 0. Because once it reaches 0, the resulting bits would just be 0. So we just, if while decimal, while it's greater than 0, now basically we need our result. We're basically adding the character, or the character plus result, and this is basically decimal mod base. Okay, and then after this, you would just as I demonstrated before, you would just divide it by base. So now we need this to work. So let's just create a string convert char. So we're given a number, so int n. And we're supposed to return the character version. Okay. So if it's in the range of 0 to 9, then we can just return it from a character from 0 to 9. Otherwise, we do it from A to Z. So we can go if n is greater than or equal to 0 and n is less than or equal to 9, then you can return 0 plus n. Otherwise, you would return, because you would start out from A, so it'd be A plus n minus 10. because for n equals 10, the resulting one would be a, so you would have to cancel that out. Okay, so now this would be convert character. And basically, to convert this to a string, go to string 1 and that. Okay. So then you just return result. So let's just call this is the current one is convert I, and the current one squared is convert I times I. Okay, so now we need to check if it's palindromic. So let's palindromic. So we're given a string s. Okay, so this should return a Boolean value. So we need to, so we have our I, it would be equal to 0, and the j would be equal to, the size of s minus 1. So basically we're doing this while I is less than j. So if s of I is not equal to s of j, then just return false. Otherwise, you would just increment I and decrement j. And then over here, you would just return true. So now over here, we need to check if palindromic, if c squared is palindromic. So if it is, then we just print c and just print cs. Okay, now we need to f out instead of c out. Okay, so now let's create our file. So we have 10. This is called palsquare.in. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, it's compiling. Okay, finished compiling, so just open the. Okay, so looks like that is right. I'll just submit it to check. So my ID is Dong3. This problem is called Palsquare. Okay, and the language is C++11. Okay, so let's submit it. Here's the problem. Okay, select the file. It looks like that is right. If you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions in the comment section below. Bye.